After surviving the console wars of the 1990s,
The Bit War veterans are invading your podcast
to bring you gaming intel,
and old tales.
we are your hosts, Max Inventory,
And Meow Tay Ching.
and we are
The Bit War Veterans.
Hello, and thank you, everyone.
Sleigh bells are ringing. It is our Bit War veterans holiday podcast.
This is probably our final episode for the year, and we hope to keep you jingling all the way until we see you again in 2017.
And beyond. Yeah, it's been a heck of a year for us, from going from Twitter nobodies to slightly less nobodies with a podcast. Well, we're going to start off with some news. The announcement of theme parks and a lot of gaming merchandise.
In today's Game & Watch Radar, we'll be covering Coffee Crisis, another Sega Genesis game,
Yes, and Nex Machina for PlayStation 4.
brought to you by the people who brought us Smash TV, one of my favorites. Our Twitter topic for the episode is
Our favorite and least favorite gaming Christmas memories.
best and worst.
Right. The stuff we got that we didn't want, and the stuff we didn't get that we wanted. And we're also going to have a special guest appearance by our friend Zero Cool, where he tells one of his crazy Christmas tales.
You're going to love that, so make sure you stick around for the whole episode.
We're going to start the podcast talking about something that makes me really excited. With the recent announcement of a new MechWarrior game. These were some of my favorite games on the PC long ago, and I've always liked mech combat and things like that, but there was nothing that beat the original MechWarrior series. And they're back. They're going to be making the 5th installment called MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. It was announced at the first MechCon 2016. Oh man, I wonder where that took place. I wanted to go.
This is the first time I've ever heard of MechCon.
Yeah, it was the first time they had that convention. So
Oh, well then that makes sense.
yeah, so there was a lot of mech-related stuff, a lot of tabletop gaming, maybe a demo of Steel Battalion. I don't know.
I really only remember playing MechWarrior 2 on the PlayStation back in mid-90s.
Oh, well, you had to play it for the PC. That's where they were originally developed for, and that was their intended audience, and they were amazing games. So yeah, it's going to be developed by good old Piranha Games, and it's going to be a single-player campaign. Yeah, the entire game is single-player. We really don't have much more information about it, other than it's being developed in Unreal 4 engine, and they plan to have a 2018 release. Piranha Games has made the MechWarrior Online game, the MMO.
So just a single-player, fun-filled mech blasting story.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a single-player story, and
Just blowing shit up as a mech.
yeah, just walking around, stompy, blow stuff up.
Stomping around, blowing it up.
Yeah,
Nintendo is releasing a Hyrule Encyclopedia next year for Zelda's 30th anniversary.
yeah, it's out in Japan right now, but it'll be coming to the United States and Europe a little bit later next year.
It's going to have databases on enemies, items, dungeons, and so much more, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's packed full of concept art, of interviews, of rare items, and just oddities and things you didn't know about the series, including a translated interview from the Japanese version, which the Japanese Hyrule Encyclopedia is already out. So there's been some people that have been scanning pages and translating them. And one of the interesting things to come out of the book was the fact that there was a Wind Waker 2 in development that was canceled.
I wonder if that ended up being scaled down and converted into the DS games that were in the Wind Waker style.
Yeah, Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass.
I never played them.
You know what, maybe it's possible, because one of the reasons that were given for Wind Waker 2 being canceled was the fact that the map was a lot less based on the ocean and more land-based. And they wanted Link to ride a horse around, but the Wind Waker art style didn't lend well to Link riding on a horse. They said the animations looked kind of awkward. So maybe it is true, because in Spirit Tracks we see a lot of land, but Link is traversing on a train, and it's in the Wind Waker style. So maybe you're onto something.
Well, first there was Hyrule Historia, then the Legend of Zelda Arts and Artifacts, and now we will be having the Hyrule Encyclopedia. What an awesome collection, worthy of any Zelda fan, any video game art fan. I would love to have my hands on all these.
Mm-hmm.
Konami.
Uh-oh.
You guys are just some interesting characters over there.
Mm-hmm. You big jerks.
But instead of talking about Hideo Kojima and Death Stranding, we're going to talk about Konami issuing a cease and desist against a fan remaking Castlevania in the Unreal Engine.
So he was trying to recreate the levels and artwork and make this like a high definition, more realistic looking Castlevania.
But the development has been ordered to stop. However, there's a twist here. As of right now, the material has still been allowed to be up and downloaded. And Jay from Konami UK has spoken to this person and said that they will see if it's possible to get him an official license to really remake this game.
Now that's pretty cool. Konami, that's kind of cool. I gotta say, you've made a lot of mistakes in the past, and I'm still kind of mad at you, but allowing this guy to keep his game assets online and possibly offer him an official license to do this game, that's kind of a good move. But I wonder, are you doing this because you know you can't do this and you have to rely on homebrew fans to do the games for you?
Well, again, we talked about that in a previous episode. I think it's a great idea to use this defense talent. And instead of stopping their projects, I would basically just hire him if it's good enough. Deja Wolf, DEJA Wolf, WOLF .itch.io. And there you can go to the Castlevania page that he has.
So you could go to the Castlevania page he has and watch videos, look at artwork, and see some of the latest development news.
And you can download the progress so far. I've downloaded it, but I haven't gotten around to trying it myself. I look forward to it, though. The videos look neat, and it's just a neat idea, and it looks good.
I hope that Konami goes ahead and gives this guy the okay to continue developing it, or to get the proper licenses, whatever has to be done. I would love to see this. Maybe Konami could get a little bit of karma back. Speaking of companies that have lost a lot of karma lately, Capcom, I'm looking at you.
What happened? What happened, guys? The last couple decades have been really rough for Capcom.
It used to be Capcom was a name you could trust. If you saw Capcom develop the game, you knew you were going to have fun. But now, Capcom is a name that is full of skepticism and disappointment.
Just recently, Street Fighter V has been caught in such heat for its total lackluster deployment of a full-price game, stripped of most of the features that have made it in the series up to this point and are considered staples in the series and other fighting games. Costumes were locked behind weird paywalls, no arcade. Once they finally released the story mode for free a few months later, apparently it's pretty poor. At least the attempt is there, but imagine buying it and you don't have internet access. Good luck. People pretty much speculate that Street Fighter V had been released early to make it in time for the Pro Tour tournament, trying to gain momentum for that, and instead released pretty much an unfinished game.
And we're bringing this up because Capcom just announced Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And with the way they handled Street Fighter V and some of their other franchises, we're going to get to that. But the way they handled it so far makes me kind of skeptical. Are they going to take us for a ride?
I don't know. As of right now, a good sign is they've already announced that game's going to launch with all the features that Street Fighter V was stripped of. Arcade mode, story mode, competent versus mode.
So is Capcom saying that they're going to release a game that they finished in time?
this is where I'm confident with this is because Marvel is involved. Marvel, with the power of Disney, is very selective on what they release with their stamp on it for the most part. And I think that they are going to have their people signing on and off of certain aspects of the production of this game, which will probably help keep it on track. Disney's got a pretty good track record of paying attention to what audiences want.
Well, you say that, but they announced that when the game launches, there will be no X-Men available to play. It's speculated that X-Men will be DLC.
Well, we'll see, because they could fit in just one X-Men or something like that. But think of it from their perspective. Right now, the movies are what is hot or what is selling. So it does make sense to be having all your main movie characters up there right now. Secondly, for people who don't know this, behind the scenes, Marvel is really upset that Fox will not relinquish the rights to X-Men and the mutants. They've botched and bungled those movies and that series and kind of run it through the mud a bit. And they've gone to the point to where they hardly promote X-Men. They don't do too many runs of them anymore. And they started the Inhumans thing that they tried to push to sort of replace them. So there's also that bone, I'm sure, is being played in the background.
Yeah.
It's nothing new to charge DLC for whole character packs.
But they're trying to leave X-Men out to further devalue the X-Men franchise to kind of like get back at Fox, basically.
That is my theory. As well as capitalize and push the new movie products that are coming out. Because not only is your staple movie people in there right now, I think Spider-Man is in it, Iron Man for sure. They're probably going to have Thor and Hulk, Captain America, all the big ones. Upcoming ones, they said they're going to have Captain Marvel in there, so we got her movie coming up. Black Panther's going to be in there. His movie's coming up. So that makes sense in terms of trying to push their cross-promotional marketing stuff. The real place where they could screw us is if they charge way too much for these packs. And I'll give you an example. In Street Fighter V, they have their new DLC, which is for this Pro Tour Tournament 2016. I think that came out earlier this year. And all that really was pretty much a map and like 3 costumes for like $25, $30.
Ouch.
I mean, the stage by itself costs $10. Now, keep in mind, in Street Fighter V, the stage really bears no relevance on the gameplay. It's just pretty to look at and is cool in there. So what? How could it cost $10? Let's compare that to Street Fighter 4. Some of their DLC packs would give you 5 costumes for different characters. They would cost $4.
Oh, that's very reasonable. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, because I mean, people have $4 laying around, but sometimes people don't have $20 or $30 laying around.
And in the past, we've had Resident Evil 5, their versus mode. Guess what? It was on the disc, but it was locked behind DLC. Street Fighter vs. Tekken, preloaded stuff, but locked behind DLC. And another most recent is Dead Rising 4. That's catching a lot of controversy.
Right, yeah. So Capcom is under fire again for Dead Rising 4. People love the Dead Rising franchise, and it's under fire for not living up to its name and removing really important elements that people loved in the past and replacing it with just kind of generic, boring, grindy garbage that people don't like.
It's one thing to have extra stories and extra content in your DLC, but you shouldn't have extra modes that you have to pay for that allow you to receive a different or better ending that ties more loose ends and makes more sense.
They're coming under fire because basically this practice translates to you have to buy our DLC and pay for the best ending possible. So if you buy the game by itself, without any DLC, you will not be able to get the best ending.
And this is what's reported. We haven't played these games. We don't know for 100% sure, but it seems to be what all the voices are screaming in unison. And it doesn't surprise me with Konami's... Excuse me. It doesn't surprise me with Capcom's history, as we've pointed out here in just, 2 minutes. These people are ripping their hair out, don't know how to run the business anymore, it seems.
Right, so this makes me a little bit nervous because recently they announced that they want to revitalize some of their older franchises. They want to start making new games for characters that haven't seen releases in quite a while.
Yeah, I think that was just a few weeks ago or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I'm really happy that we're going to be seeing maybe some new Mega Man, some new... What else does Capcom do?
I would love to see Dino Crisis come back.
Oh, yeah, what is it, Final Fight?
Final Fight would be pretty neat. You can update that. They have tons of old shooters that they've kind of abandoned they can maybe resurrect.
Yeah, but if they're going to be half-complete games at launch with a lot of DLC involved, then maybe I'm not so excited.
I know. Their business practices are worrying. I even found an article from 2013 where Capcom was evaluating its finances and its projections into 2014, and they were pretty much panicking. And the conclusion they came up to, in a nutshell, was that they wanted to more or less distribute less games in the West and increase DLC.
So that means more Japanese-only releases, and what we get here in America and in Europe will be fewer and in between, and they'll be asking us to shell more money for things like costumes, characters, levels, other things. So if this is the business practice they choose, they have to wisen up and know that people want the finished product up front. They can't be cutting things that have been in games in the past and then asking you to put more money into the game for that content.
DLC works when it is meaningful and worth the value of what is paid. There are plenty of games where I bought all the DLC because it was awesome, it was reasonable price, it came out in a well-paced way, so I always had the extra little money ready for it. Mass Effect is a great example of this. The stories and missions that you pay for in pretty much all those games are worth every penny. You maybe don't necessarily need some of the gun packs, but they're also only $5-6 or something like that. They weren't that expensive.
Yeah, or you could look at Overwatch, which I've been playing a lot of recently. Only Watch, where you buy the base game, which comes with all of the maps, all of the characters, and the stuff that you buy, it's purely cosmetics.
$40 on PC. That was totally worth it for me. Capcom, your practices are worrying, but we would love to see you come back to where you once were. Give me some Mega Man X. Find a way to bring back Mega Man Legends if the return of X does well.
And I'm really curious to see how your new Resident Evil VR game is going to turn out.
Yes. So far, everyone is raving about it. Don't screw that up by locking things behind paywalls. Don't. Don't sell the story episodically, piecemeal, and slapdash together. You will make the money if you put out straightforward, awesome games.
With DLC that's optional, fun, and at a price that people can afford.
But otherwise, in the spirit of Christmas holidays, thank you, Capcom, for all you have given us that is good. The Resident Evil series is amazing. Mega Man is amazing. Street Fighter is amazing. The Marvel vs. Capcom series were amazing. The Breath of Fire RPG series, they were amazing.
Yeah, so thank you, Capcom. Get good again.
Get good.
So now Ubisoft has been in the news lately for making bold moves into the film and theme park departments.
We have the Assassin's Creed film coming out. I never really got into the games, but I am interested in the movie, and you pretty much had me when you said Michael Fassbender.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, speaking of X-Men, he is the new Magneto.
That's really neato.
Eat a metal burrito.
I'm here all night, folks.
So what else is Ubisoft doing?
So Ubisoft has announced 2 theme parks that they're going to be building in partnership with other people. The first is a theme park in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
And I think they first announced that one back in September, or just earlier this year. But either way, that is an interesting looking place. It's home of like the tallest set of twin tower buildings.
It's a beautiful city with a lot of people interested in games, technology, and entertainment.
A melting pot culture of the Malays people, Chinese, Indian, lots of visitors from the West.
So this is a prime location for a theme park like this. So they say there's going to be themes and attractions based on Assassin's Creed, based on Just Dance, and Rayman Raving Rabbids. They haven't gone into details about exact rides and attractions.
But we're really interested in it, and if you look at who they're partnering with in Malaysia to do this, they're co-owner and co-developer of Movie Animation Park Studios.
Or Maps.
Which has some really amazing looking parks if you want to YouTube those. Interactive experiences, 4D stuff going on.
This park is planned to open around 2020. What else is coming out in 2020 is Ubisoft's park in Dubai. They're partnering with IMG World to develop an indoor theme park. Once again, with Assassin's Creed, Just Dance, and Rabbids franchises. In this Dubai theme park, companies Viacom and Mattel have also signed on to have attractions in this park, naming SpongeBob, Power Rangers, and Dragon Ball Z.
Which will tie perfectly into the new Power Rangers movie coming up if it succeeds and carries its momentum into 2020.
Yeah, and there's a new Dragon Ball Z. Sorry, not Dragon Ball Z.
There's always new Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, there's a new Dragon Ball Z, or there's Dragon Ball franchise. I don't know if it's Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. I'm not hip and cool with
For me, it will always be called Dragon Ball Z.
I'm not hip and cool with the new animes.
That's right. We watch the old crap. Mm-hmm. And by crap, we mean gold. Pure gold.
Old Toonami gold, yeah.
Akira. With those partnerships for the parks, there could be a lot of potential. The Maps Park in Malaysia we were talking about has partnerships with already existing franchises like Megamind and the Smurfs. So you can see how they're able to integrate and maybe give us an idea of how they're going to integrate the Ubisoft franchises into their projects. You'd mentioned Viacom was part of that, right?
Right.
Now that's interesting because Vivendi Studios has now acquired and may be exceeding over 25% of Ubisoft stock. And for anyone who's been paying attention, this has been going on in the background throughout this year, that Ubisoft is actually worried that Vivendi is trying to pull a takeover on their company. And I don't know the full ins and outs of CEO corporate life and stock trading and all that. The buy, sell, buy. But once an organization or group acquires a certain amount of shares in the company, then they could start appointing people onto the board of directors and in positions within the company. So now you can see how another company's influence can slowly infiltrate another company and change it from within. And this has kind of already happened to the brother of Ubisoft's owner, where he had a small, I think they were a mobile games developer company that had eventually become bought out by Vivendi. Now, I don't know where all that's going to go and what that means for these parks.
But it seems like Vivendi is taking an interest in Ubisoft Ventures, and they want a piece of that pie.
And whatever movies or media they're putting out could find its way integrated into these Ubisoft parks.
What we see happening now with Ubisoft and building these theme parks and coming out with films is part of their new marketing plan. They want to bring their games and franchises and expand that to go beyond the scope of gaming. Now, this is something that we see Nintendo doing lately. They are taking strides into tons of other markets. So, in an earlier report from 2016, current president and CEO Kimishima of Nintendo said that kids are becoming less familiar with Nintendo franchises through Nintendo games. So instead, he wants to familiarize children with Nintendo franchises through other means other than games.
Do you think maybe the poor sales of the Wii U contributed to that?
I think so, because I think Nintendo really banks on having kids get familiar with Nintendo and then grow up becoming Nintendo fans. You see it happening on our generation and a little bit before and after, you know?
Yes, the younger 20-year-olds I'm meeting right now are very nostalgic for the Nintendo 64. A lot of I'm meeting had that system growing up, and they are now interested in buying back their old stuff, just like I was when I hit my 20s, and Funkoland was getting rid of all the NES cartridges by the bushel.
Right. So Nintendo's new marketing strategy includes a lot more aggressive branding, because you now see a lot more Nintendo shirts. You see Nintendo toothbrushes. That was cited in the report. You see Nintendo partnering up with Vans to come out with Nintendo-themed shoes. I mean, you could walk into almost any large store and find some sort of Nintendo-branded item. And just a few years ago, you didn't see that much Nintendo stuff around.
At least here. I'm sure in Asia it's still much bigger. But for us...
Yeah, speaking of Asia, like they just opened up their Kirby Cafe in Japan.
Oh, right.
So all of that, this is an official Nintendo-run cafe where you could buy Kirby like snacks and bakery items and goods.
I want edible amiibos.
Whoa.
That would be so cool.
But amiibos are a perfect example of them going into a toy market. And we see stocking the shelves. There's a lot of other Nintendo toys. They have their, like, what is it, the World of Nintendo line. And they've just been making, trading cards.
So at least Pokemon is definitely keeping them up in the relevancy ratings.
Department. Yeah, Pokemon is doing awesome for Nintendo. Sun and Moon just came out.
Which followed the success of Pokemon Go.
Yeah, so kind of expanding on Nintendo and reaching on and beyond video game.
And real quick, and now Mario Run on iOS is the highest selling game currently.
Yeah, so Nintendo is expanding their boundaries. They're going to mobile markets. We also see them expanding their physical locations with Niantic and Pokemon Go. They announced recently that they're partnering up with Starbucks, and earlier this month in December, over 7,000 Starbucks locations became Pokestops.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant move.
And earlier in the year, they partnered up with Sprint, so a lot of their Sprint stores had become Pokestops and gyms. And in Japan, Niantic is teamed up with McDonald's, making a lot of their stores Pokestops as well.
And maybe we'll see more Happy Meal Nintendo toys.
Mm-hmm. But the biggest partnership comes out of Nintendo and NBC Universal.
They are jumping in on the theme park theme. I am surprised they didn't really stick with Disney with this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised it wasn't the Disney World, Disneyland connection and locations, and they chose Universal instead.
Yeah, Nintendo is going to be partnering with NBC Universal to build Nintendo-themed attractions and rides in these parks. These will be in Universal theme parks in Osaka, Japan, Orlando, Florida, and Hollywood, California. Now, this is a huge deal. A few years ago, former president and CEO of Nintendo, Iwata, said that they'd thought about making Nintendo theme parks before, but they never went ahead with any idea because the time wasn't ripe, or they just really weren't interested in whoever presented them ideas for partnerships. But NBC Universal contacted Nintendo, and they initiated this partnership. Nintendo said that after reviewing what they did with Harry Potter, and building the Harry Potter theme park that they were really confident that NBC Universal could properly represent the Nintendo image and franchises. So this deal is worth $434 million. Wow.
Which I'm guessing, if all goes well, it can make back pretty quickly within the couple of years of them opening up.
Yeah, we see when NBC Universal makes Harry Potter themed things and The Walking Dead themed attractions in their parks, they see attendance increase 4 to 5-fold than normally. So this is huge.
According to Nintendo, these will be expansive, immersive, and interactive themed areas and environments with multiple attractions, shops, and restaurants. Guests are going to feel as if you're playing inside your favorite games, but in real life. There's supposed to be something for everyone, regardless of your age or your gaming experience level. All these parks will open separately over the next couple of years as they are planned and completed on their own course, so there's no timetable yet. And I'm looking forward to maybe one day going to go visit this place, because so far I've never been to Universal, and that's one of the things that sounds like I would actually really want to make the journey and go experience.
I love me some roller coasters. So I want some really cool like Star Fox themed roller coasters with like R-Wing cars. I don't know, what kind of cool stuff would you want to see?
If you're going to go roller coaster, what about like a Mario Kart Star Road kind of roller coaster?
I mean, Mario Kart go-karts are kind of a given.
I know, right? You just have to figure out a safe-ish way to do it. Or if there'd be a way... Now, they do partner with Namco and make Mario Kart
arcade
machines, but they're not exactly what I like. They need a more classic, traditional Mario Kart experience. Augmented reality maybe could combine with that and make some interesting experiences, and I'm really hope that they do all kinds of different and new things. And same thing with Ubisoft. You should be incorporating augmented reality, virtual reality. We already do have some rides in some parks doing this. Interactive, like rail shooting rides where you sit in a moving car and you put on a headset and you have a gun and you shoot at things that are popping at you in the headset.
All right. I could think of, they could do a Assassin's Creed themed bungee jump.
Yeah.
So like, you get on the harness and you're on this bridge and you're diving off of it, or like you're on the side of a building diving off, and then when you get all the way down there's like a big pile of hay, so it looks like you're gonna jump into that hay pile, but then ring, your bungee jump goes back up. I mean, maybe we could see another Kirby cafe open up in these theme parks.
Sure. Get a Kirby burger.
Kirby burger. That sounds good.
Koopa Troopa Supa. We could bring back Donkey Konga. Wouldn't you love to bring back Donkey Konga and have some live interactive experience where you're beating bongos?
Beating bongos with Donkey Kongos? Yeah.
With Donkey Combos?
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, maybe like a Luigi's Mansion haunted house that you go through.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many things you could do.
Yes.
With a Mario theme park. Yeah, I might have to save up money and go on vacation to one of these places. Seriously.
Imagine maybe a Zelda game that would be like something where you can strap on a shield and sword and duel with a hologram or something like that.
Yeah, like a Dark Link hologram. That would be cool.
There could be cool stuff with Pikmin. Some type of game where you're actually throwing Pikmin around, or... I don't know why. I'm just imagining a lot of augmented reality technology. You're putting on a headset that just overlays graphics over the real world of what you're seeing, and you're interacting with that kind of stuff and real world items. That's where I see one of the big future potentialities of augmented reality technology.
Right. Where you could like go around the theme park and kind of gain like experience points depending on attractions you interact with, rides you go on, things you buy, and that you kind of level up your own character in the park as you.
Your avatar.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is the direction Ubisoft and Nintendo are going to be going in. That there's going to be a lot more blending of technology into your park experience. I mean, look at what Disney does now with all the apps and stuff on the phones when you visit their parks.
Those Star Wars experiences they have been making for The Force Awakens and that, and soon they're going to have Episode 8 stuff coming up. Again, I've not been to it, but I've seen videos of it and heard of people's tales, telling the tales. Wow. That's amazing stuff. Yeah, that's pretty hot.
Yeah. I'm just really looking forward to seeing all these new theme parks and attractions. It looks like Nintendo finally got my roller coaster tycoon plans I sent them 10 years ago. So, woo, thank you.
Think about Ride Yoshi, some kind of Yoshi riding thing.
Yeah.
I was just...
like a Donkey Kong barrel spinner thing.
That'd be neat. There could be all kinds of things.
Right.
But those are the things we'll have to wait and see, because Ubisoft gave us a timetable of around 2020 when they will start popping up, but Nintendo has not. They've just said over the next couple of years. So I look forward to it. Maybe you look forward to it. Maybe you have some ideas. You could tweet at us at BitWarVets on Twitter, or tweet them at Nintendo.
In the spirit of the Christmas season, let's talk about some cool stuff you could buy. Since we're all about retro things and new and old, I want to talk about the company Data Discs. Now, if you don't know Data Discs, they make video game vinyls. And these are really cool. They are works of art, really. Because the vinyls come with a sleeve with beautiful front and back album artwork. They usually come with inserts, like with glossy prints, and the vinyl themselves are colored. So they just announced Golden Axe 1 and 2, like the original soundtrack with all the boops and the beeps.
Classics.
It's for sale now on their website. If you have a vinyl collector in your family, in your household, a friend, someone you love, they also have Streets of Rage 1 and 2, Shinobi 3, Super Hang-On, and Shenmue, available on vinyl.
If you or someone you know is a sucker for classic games and classic sound systems, this might be the gift for you or them. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Shenmue, the newest Shenmue is going on pre-order now, so you might want to consider that as a gift. Mm-hmm. But I found another LP set.
This is not Data Discs, but this is something else.
By the group I Am 8-Bit. However, it will not arrive in time for the holidays. But this is coming out in the second quarter of 2017. I Am 8-Bit and Materia Collective are bringing us The Hero of Time, an officially licensed 1-hour arrangement of beautiful Zelda Ocarina of Time music based on Koji Kondo's dynamic, epic, and absolutely gorgeous score for that video game. Mm-hmm. It'll be recorded and played by the 64-player Slovak National Symphony Orchestra.
The orchestra of my people.
As it breathes life into one of our favorite Zelda games. The art for this album is being created by Ryan Brinkerhoff, and in the pre-order site for this, you can see concept for the art, what it's going to look like. It looks beautiful. It'll be in a sleeve that has the outline of an ocarina on it. It'll pull out. And when it opens up, on one side, you're going to have the World of Light art, and on the other, artwork of the World of Darkness. And whichever side the vinyl is in will also have corresponding artwork on it. It looks great, and I'm sure the final is going to look even better. I'd be happy with this concept art here. Really. It's going to be $40.
And these are going to be sent out in early 2017 after it's been recorded live and pressed.
So keep your eyes out for that. And again, maybe a pre-order for that would make a nice gift.
Yeah, this is officially licensed by Nintendo, folks, so no joking around here.
No joke. Had to bring it up. It looks beautiful. Looks like it's going to sound beautiful. You could jam with Link and Epona with your headphones on your head. That's it for the news, folks.
So we really love this kind of merchandising, and that's what the rest of this episode is going to be about.
And today we're doing something a little bit different for our Twitter question of the week. We have somebody live in studio with us. Our good buddy, we will call him Zero Cool, has joined us to tell his tale in person.
Today's Twitter topic is telling the tales of our favorite Christmas gifts or our least favorite Christmas gifts, gaming related, of course. But today we have a little bit of a special treat for you, a present, if you will. We have with us one of our really good friends, Zero Cool. And he's here to tell the tale, a really crazy tale of Christmas shenanigans. So what was your favorite gaming Christmas memory growing up?
Yeah, waking up Christmas morning and going over to the computer. My brother had bought me World of Warcraft, the collector's edition. And, it blew me away because, that was the year it came out, and I had never played it before. I had already had a debit card at the time, so immediately bought my subscription.
Wait, didn't that collector's edition come with, like, a code where, like, when you made a new character, you get, like, a collector's pet that followed you around? I think I remember this.
There was the collector's pet, and I think I got the panda most of the time. It was a panda.
Yeah, I remember
Diablo,
those guys. Mm-hmm.
The little Diablo, and there was a third one.
There was a third one. I don't remember it. Yeah, I remember the panda and the Diablo. Yeah, yeah.
Most of the time when I was going around playing and people would see me with the pet, they'd be like, "Oh, where the hell did you get that from?" And yeah, that was definitely a cool thing to see even into... I think I stopped playing that game in Wrath of the Lich King, and people still asked about it. Another year, our grandmother had bought us a Nintendo 64 and Doom 64. She didn't know what Doom was, because if she did, and she's a very religious person, and if she knew that I went to hell for Christmas, oh my god. Oh, that was
oh man,
that was one of my favorites for sure.
Oh, I thought it was delivered by Santa, but it was delivered by Satan.
Satan, yes. So let's talk worst.
Okay.
Or worst Christmas gifts, I think was the topic.
Yeah.
Worst Christmas gift. I think 2 years in a row.
Ooh, double whammy.
My mom decided she was going to buy us the Atari Lynx. And the Atari Lynx.
Wait.
Me and my brother had to share this big brick of a thing that just, and it looked kind of cool at first, but when you were like 30 minutes in and the battery was already dead, that was huge. The batteries, the 8 batteries that it took.
Oh.
Right? It was 6 or 8 batteries, and it was horrible compared to the Game Boy at the time.
So wait, let me get this straight. You said 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row.
She got you the same.
I know for sure we received that thing on 2 separate occasions, and we took it back 2 separate times. Returned.
Oh, that's golden.
Yeah.
So you took that Atari Lynx back twice.
Yeah.
On 2 different occasions.
Mm-hmm. Then we had another one. Me and my brother were old enough to be bold. Aside from the fact that we got two Lynxes in our life, we weren't too well off, so we really couldn't get all the things that we wanted growing up. That or maybe we were just greedy. So we walked into Kmart around Christmas time, I'll say. And we decided with our big jackets, we were going to walk away with 2 Gamecoms.
Folks.
The Tiger Gamecom. You remember that thing. I think you guys talked about that in one of your earlier podcasts.
I wish I didn't remember those things.
But no, we took those things home, and we thought it looked cool. We didn't know too much about it at the time because we didn't have the internet to figure these things out beforehand. Commercials did make it look cool. So, we took these things home, and yeah,
you found out.
We found out real quick how lights out to this day. I still have a little place in my heart for it. But no, that thing was a hunk of junk, man.
Lights out. You could have had the handheld game. That would have been more fun.
I wanted it, and I should have stole that instead. I should have stole. I didn't know, dude. I didn't have the internet then. Well, did we? I can't remember. We were old enough to steal.
I could have Googled it, man.
So out of, like, you could have stolen the Game Boy. You probably could have stolen, like, a Game Gear. You could have stolen anything.
You know what though? Part two. We walked back into that Kmart a couple years, not a couple years later, a couple months later, and we walked away with two Game Boy Colors.
Whoa!
I had the atomic. Was it the atomic purple, the clear one?
Oh yeah, I had that one too. That was the stuff.
Oh man. Ooh. So
man, that's why Kmart went out of business.
Yeah, exactly.
Them Zero Cool brothers.
Don't tell nobody about Zero Cool.
Remember, folks, if you steal, you are zero cool. I just think it's so funny. You risked so much for Gamecom.
For the Gamecom.
Like, imagine if you got, like, caught and... Yeah, that would be really embarrassing. I would probably lie about it. I'd be like, oh, I tried to steal... I thought this said Game Boy.
Wasn't the website like games.com or something?
It was like game and .com.
Game.com.
Like their spacebar broke, so they just decided to use periods instead.
I think there was even an accessory for that thing to allow you to go on the internet with it.
All right, thank you, Zero Cool, for sharing your stories and telling the tales of your crazy Christmas memories.
We are now moving into the Twitterverse,
where you tell us the tales of your best or worst gaming Christmas gifts.
Who do we have first on the Twitter radar?
Well, our first person is Pieces of Bits.
I remember that name.
Yeah, thanks for answering another question. All right, here we go. So your most fondest memory. Getting my NES in 1986.
Woo!
He was told that his family couldn't afford it until he found the manual wrapped in the last Christmas present he opened. And then he knew. His family could afford an NES and he got it. Yeah.
So I wonder he like ripped open the NES manual and then they just walked out with the box from behind the couch or something.
No, he's like, oh, we couldn't afford the NES. We just got you the manual.
Maybe that's what it was. They bought him one piece at a time.
Here's the system. Now next year you get the controller. And then the year after that you get a game. No, well, he shared this picture with us of himself in 1986 holding up the manual in a moment of victory. Thank you for sharing that.
Great job. I was 2 years old and still playing Atari.
Pieces of Bits, thanks for telling your tales. So we got you something for Christmas.
Little something special on this episode. We're going to give you all gifts for writing in. We're going to take a bag of Legos and hit them with a hammer into smaller pieces, and then we're going to send them to you to put back together.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave Markey.
Dave Markey. Thanks for writing in.
Christmas of 1982. Santa left he and his sister a ColecoVision and some games.
A ColecoVision. Coleco was very fun. It had a lot of games for young children and a really wonky controller. I only got to play one a time or two at somebody I knew's house.
Yeah, so thanks for telling your tale, Dave Markey. For Christmas, you get...
We're going to get you one of those sweet new cordless telephones with the built-in answering machine. Tapes and batteries sold separately.
All right, Death Star Slice says his best Christmas surprise was when his parents put a Sega Dreamcast under the tree.
Woo!
But it was years after the console's lifespan.
Oh.
But yeah, he really liked it because he'd only dropped a couple of hints and his parents picked up on that.
Well, that's very nice.
And getting this Dreamcast years after its lifespan got him into retro gaming again. So this is a Christmas miracle for everyone.
That is very nice. I wanted a Dreamcast when they originally came out, and I think I went to go buy one, and they were out of stock at the store I was at, so I said, okay, I'll get a PlayStation 2.
I guess you made the wisest choice there at the store.
Dodged a bullet. Really.
Well, we love the Dreamcast, but let's be honest, he probably would have been sad if he had a Dreamcast and then they canceled, making stuff for it.
Me and a buddy rented one when they first came out and played that Sonic game, and we just loved it.
Oh, yeah.
But for today's tweet, you will
get... I want to give you a slice of the Death Star, but I can't, so I'm just going to give you an orange slice.
We're going to send you an orange that was on the Death Star in the new Star Wars Rogue One. You have to look, so it's your job to go see the movie and find what scene the orange is from.
And that slice is from that scene.
It's from that scene. It's all yours.
It's 1/4 portion orange.
Yep. 1/4 portion orange. We'll send it by email. Thank you.
Zoso1701 shares the tale. 1989.
Ooh.
It was a dark and stormy night.
I was beginning to become conscious.
NES Christmas was the best. He didn't have a clue what it was when he opened it up, but he ended up playing so many games on it.
What exactly does that mean? Did he get a whole bunch of games with it?
Yeah, he goes on to explain it was purchased late in the NES life cycle. So there were a lot of things that were already out, and they were like, kind of prices were dropping, things were getting cheaper.
Good call.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened to us. We got it much later on. Probably when the Super Nintendo was out. No, maybe before that. But we got it much later on and still couldn't afford the damn games and had to go rent them.
All right, Zoso. Well, for Christmas, since we can't get you an NES Mini Classic Edition for Christmas, we're going to get you a NES Maxi Edition. It's so big it can't even fit in our galaxy, but I swear it's out there somewhere in the universe for you.
It's so tall, they had to build a special shelf for it.
It's really hard to reach. You're going to have to come here and get it.
By email. Thank you.
We have some more Christmas miracles. Norrin Rad 2 Turbo.
Norrin Rad 2 Turbo. Your name sounds like a sequel. Do you have a brother?
See, he always had an Atari in his house, but the first family console he remembers getting on Christmas was the Master System with 5 games.
Wow.
Ooh. Yeah, that's kind of rare. Most people ended up getting the Nintendo Entertainment System during that period of time. You were one of those weirdos, the 10% of the market share that went with the Sega Master System instead.
Master System did all right, enough to bring us the Genesis, but I didn't even know it existed until well after the Genesis was out.
Yeah, the Master System did a lot better in South America.
I actually thought it was going to be better. I thought it was the new thing or some new thing, Master System.
But it was the old thing.
It was the old thing. But still, I was intrigued by it. It pretty much, as far as I could tell, could stand up to the NES.
So Norrin Rad 2 Turbo, for Christmas, we're going to get you a sequel. You're going to be Norrin Rad 3.
We will produce your sequel. Norrin Rad Turbo 3 Extreme.
Championship Edition. All right.
Turbo. Metaflele.
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 All of my Christmases were pretty good from a gaming perspective, I'd say. Always got a brand new console. Happiest times ever. You lucky son of a gun. You always got the brand new console. Chuh. I wish I was your friend growing up.
You are a lucky one, okay? Some of us had to fight for those consoles in the console wars of the 1990s.
Well, that's the best Christmas memory. Always. So for Christmas, you get some Reese's Pieces. Arthur McDowell remembers one of the best things he got for Christmas was a NES controller-designed messenger bag he got back in 2006, and he still uses it today.
That is good to know it was made with such quality, or perhaps you treat it very gently. There is also a picture of that on our Twitter, BitWarVets. You can go see it now or later when you're done listening.
Yeah, I had this Nintendo messenger bag, It was cool. It was white with a bunch of really tiny black text all over it, and it was a whole bunch of cheat codes to various Nintendo games. It was cool because it was just cheat codes, and it didn't even say what game it was from, so you'd kind of have to guess. And that was one of my favorite messenger bags. And it's funny because I used to use it all the time back in like 2005, 2006. Messenger bags were like more of a thing back then. I don't see people using messenger bags like they used to anymore. I don't know. That's just me.
So for Christmas, we are going to get you a 30-foot NES controller extension cord for your NES controller messenger bag. So you could plug it into your Nintendo from very far away.
Well, we've all had some really good Christmas stories, but we're going to share a bad Christmas story with you. And it comes from Fat Lonely Dude. I'm sorry, Fat Lonely Dude, you had a bad Christmas, but he shared his tale. He got a brand new Xbox 360 for Christmas, and it was Red Ring of Death right out of the box.
Thanks, Microsoft.
How about Micro Jerks?
See, what that was HAL 9000 telling you, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's what the Red Ring of Death was.
You know, I worked at GameStop for a little while.
This is true.
Sometimes people would try to return broken consoles as new. Like, oh, we didn't want it, or it was a gift, and they already had one, we're taking it back. And sometimes people would return, like, Red Ring of Death systems or bricked systems, and, you know, hopefully for them, the employee working wouldn't really check it out. They'd be so busy, they just accept the trade-in. And
especially during holiday
Yeah, especially
time.
during holiday times. So I wonder if that happened to you. Maybe some bad employee didn't check the system right away, or it turned on and worked for them, but then it ringed immediately after that, whatever. But sometimes it makes me wonder, maybe you got a fraudulent return system. So for Christmas, we're going to give you
A box with an X on it. It'll never Red Ring of Death on you, ever.
but we will include a red marker in case you do want it to red ring.
In case HAL 9000 takes over you.
Next, we have Base Drivel. Getting a Super Nintendo was the most exciting gift he ever received. He seriously cannot think of anything that was on par with a Super Nintendo.
I'm not sure if I could either, but I got one for my birthday, so doesn't count. So for Christmas, we are getting you
An assortment of sports socks, but none of them have matches, and they're all different sizes. Next, we have Fernlee Flynn. And she remembers vividly Christmas morning getting a PlayStation and Spyro the Dragon.
Woo!
Her 10-year-old mind was blown.
You didn't get Spyro the Dragon?
Not Spyro.
Spyro was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a game I definitely want to go back and replay. I haven't played it in such a long time. I used to really love just like unlocking the dragons and hearing like the 2 lines of useless dialogue they would say. They'd always have really cool like accents like this, and
Oh, it was a British dragon like this. Thank you for saving me, Spyro.
and then there would be a dragon would be like, Spyro, look at you. You've got wings now. That's what I remember about Spyro.
That was the closest thing on PlayStation we were getting to Mario 64.
Yeah,
Probably at that time.
I'd agree with you.
Because Crash Bandicoot was kind of marketed as that, but those games were not.
Yeah, Spyro definitely. I'd say
That was kind of the open.
kind of like, yeah, the PlayStation's Mario. Interesting. Well, for Christmas, Fernlee Flynn, we're going to get you a real life fern. You're going to have to take care of it. Sorry.
Or you can't be Flynn anymore. You have to take care of it, or it will eat you.
It's a carnivorous fern.
It's a carnifern. I don't know if you've heard of them. But,
Highly dangerous, highly illegal.
yeah, that's why we have to send it by emails. So, thank you.
Okay, next we got Martin Stuff.
Martin Stuff, you are up. And he says, I once got a second-hand Game Gear once the batteries were leaking and the connectors were rusty. That's nasty. I hate it when I open up old electronics and the batteries have just kind of rotted to death inside of them. It's very
Right.
sad.
I mean, it makes me wonder, did the person who bought that for you secondhand not even open it up and take a look? Didn't even put fresh batteries in?
They probably had no idea it even took batteries. You know what I mean?
It's magic.
Buying one of these games, think, well, it probably came with the adapter.
Yeah, I mean, Martin's stuff had to use the adapter in the end. He just couldn't.
no.
He just couldn't get it working with the batteries.
Oh, so they permanently ruined those ports. Ouch. But hey, you had a Game Gear.
And those are pretty cool. Yeah, sort
The
of.
screen was bigger and in color
You
than
didn't have to.
over Game Boy.
You didn't have to hit yourself in the head with the squirrel to get color.
You remember that commercial? Sega does what Nintendo don't.
So for Christmas, we're gonna get you.
A pair of glasses that forces you to see the world in monochrome black and white.
So you could know the pain that Game Boy users had to face seeing their games in black and white.
We'll see if you complain about those batteries again.
All right, Mojo Joester is the next person to tell the tales
Mojoster.
of their Christmases. Now, this is a good one. All right. This is a gift that ended up being like probably one of the worst Christmas gifts you could have had because of the damage, physical and emotional damage that this could create, okay?
Tickle me Elmo?
So he got the PlayStation Holiday Demo in 2004.
Dun, dun, dun!
If you played this demo and had a memory card in your PlayStation, it would corrupt the memory card without you knowing. Over time, it would corrupt your save files.
If you played the Beautiful Joe demo.
Yeah, specifically you had to play Beautiful Joe, the demo. So one day you would turn on your PlayStation and bloop, all your save files are corrupted now. And you wouldn't know why until you know, the internet kind of came together and figured out it was this Beautiful Joe demo that was doing it.
You can still find forum posts from back then. People warning each other not to do it.
So Mojo Joester says he lost so many hours in RPGs.
Oh,
And he cried.
I might have too.
He cried.
I might have too. Depending on what games you had. He
They
could have
tried-
had Final Fantasy X, all kinds of big RPGs, 60, 100 hours sunk into some of these different games. God.
So PlayStation tried to make up for it by offering to send these folks with corrupted game data on their memory cards a select game if they sent the PlayStation 2004 demo back. So he ended up getting Wild Arms 3 for Christmas, but at the cost of all of his game data.
I played the first Wild Arms. I really liked it, but I remember the sequels going downhill, so I don't know if that was a win. Or maybe it is a good game. Either way, for Christmas this year, you're getting a holiday demo floppy disk. That way you can't corrupt your PlayStation data anymore.
Okay, we got Fanboy Valentine. He got some good stuff for Christmas. His favorite memory was getting a Sega Master System with Alex Kidd in 1990.
Alex Kidd, yeah.
And years later, he got Duels of Planeswalker on Xbox. That's a Magic the Gathering game.
Oh, yeah. I cannot remember the name of the expansion that I dropped out on, but it was a couple before that.
Yeah, Max Inventory was a Magic player for a while.
So was Miao Ching.
You know, I played a little bit of Magic. I played a lot of bit of Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's you young kids.
I was banishing people to the Shadow Realm left and right. So for Christmas, we're going to send you a photograph of various Magic the Gathering cards.
Occult Tech writes in, and he says the most memorable is Gorf on the VIC-20. Christmas 1981. He played nonstop until New Year's Eve and beyond addicted. But then he also got a Tommytronic Tron handheld. Well, not exactly handheld. What would you call this? The desktop or mini arcade?
Yeah, like a mini
Like the
arcade.
home mini arcade unit. It came with no batteries, and the shops were all closed for the next couple of days for a holiday. So he couldn't even play.
So you got a Tron paperweight.
He got a 1 Tron weight?
And then when he finally got batteries for it, he found out the unit was faulty.
Oh, my.
And he had to wait another month before he could get a replacement.
Jeez.
Like, that's a bad... Ouch, that really was a Tron paperweight.
1981. Whew. Glad I wasn't born yet. Sounds like things took forever. Now, across the pond here, we certainly never had a VIC-20, I don't believe. I know I never had one. The next closest thing for me was a Commodore 64.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like in British home markets and kind of like more Europe in general, there were a lot of family home computers that caught on around this time where, I mean, there were plenty of family computers in the States, but even into like the Nintendo NES era and Super Nintendo era, there were a lot of people playing games on family home computers. And, you know, most people in America would say, oh yeah, NES was king, nothing else comes close. But, yeah, across the pond, a lot of people will recall these computers before they even recall the NES. Just, I don't know, difference in preference and culture and what was available.
And in the next generation, they preferred the Sega Genesis over Super Nintendo.
Occult tech for Christmas, we're going to give you the batteries that Martin Stuff couldn't use in his Game Gear.
The ones that he found in the Game Gear.
Yeah. We're going to give you the batteries Martin Stuff found in his Game Gear for your Tron paperweight.
So you could play your Tron game. They'll be in the emails by tomorrow. Thank you.
Next we have Paz. Remembers when he got an N64 with Donkey Kong 64 and Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Whoa.
His parents thought Conker was a kid's game.
And by that point, didn't we have the mandatory game rating?
Oh yeah, it was definitely rated M, clearly on the box.
Oops, that's okay.
Maybe his parents thought it said N for Nintendo, but it was M. Nintendo.
It was M for Mega. But thank you, because, you know, you turned out all right, didn't you, Paz?
I think so.
Didn't you? You listen to this show. Huh? So for Christmas, we're going to get you Donkey Konga. But instead of Donkey Kong, it's going to be Donkey from Shrek.
Okay, next we got Castle Zotz. Gives us kind of a bittersweet memory. I don't know, depending on how you like it. But he got a Sega CD. His mom got one right away on release day and hid it.
Radical.
And it didn't bring it out until after all the presents were opened. And get this, it was in a giant box weighted with phone books.
Well, imagine what he was thinking was in there. Like, what the heck is this thing?
Right.
I want a Sega CD, but this is huge and heavy. You give me a microwave? I hope you still have that Sega CD, because they were awesome. And for Christmas, we're going to get you a VHS camcorder so you can make your own full motion video games. Blank tapes sold separately. It'll be in the email tomorrow. Thank you.
La Cacalo got an actual NES for Christmas. And this was his best Christmas memory. He says, let's just say there was a moment of elation of getting an NES. Well, he doesn't celebrate Christmas, but he got a bad gaming-related gift. And he got the Nintendo serial system before ever owning an actual NES. He says, let's just say there was a moment of elation of getting an NES, but it was followed by fruit-flavored, artificially sweetened, possibly expired disappointment.
Was that like a joke? They were like, well, we couldn't get you the NES, so here's the cereal box. I've never heard of a cereal box being wrapped as a gift. I'm sorry.
Maybe they thought you'd have more fun eating than playing the games? I don't know.
Well, just so you know, La Cacalo, games are made up of bits and bytes. So I hope you enjoyed your NES bits and bytes. For Christmas, we're getting you a digital spoon and a digital bowl. So you can put your NES emulator in it and emulate the NES cereal.
To eat your digital bits and bytes.
It'll be in the email tomorrow. Thank you for writing in.
Spoopy Charlotte.
Spoopy.
Spoopy. She got The Simpsons skateboarding for Christmas.
What?
And said that's not a good game.
No. What game was that? Simpsons skateboarding.
That sounds like something my mom would do. More about that later.
Well, they like Simpsons, so I'll just get it.
Well, you know what? In their defense, Simpsons Road Rage was a pretty fun game. So
yeah.
So maybe like their parents thought like, oh, skateboarding has to be fun.
Well,
Road Rage was fun. I don't know which came out first.
Well, I mean, was that like an Xbox title or something? I just don't remember this Simpsons skating.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's
It
not
must have been
worth
that
remembering. Yeah. So for Christmas,
We're gonna give you the Family Guy skating game. It's in the emails.
it's an exact copy of Simpsons skating, just with Family Guy skins.
Yep.
All right. So RJ Schelling said the best and worst of Christmas came in the same year.
Ouch.
Okay, here we go. The best, Double Dragon 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
And then the worst was getting Mega Man for DOS.
What?
Now, folks, if you were not aware, Mega Man did come out on DOS, and it was horrible.
Abysmal.
DOS just didn't have the capability of providing a smooth Mega Man-like game experience one would expect. If you ever have the chance, if you're curious, look it up on YouTube. I mean, this game is like almost unplayable. That's how bad it is.
I think that's another angry video game nerd.
Yeah, I think he delves into that.
One of his newer ones. He did a Mega Man thing, and the clips he had were just unplayable, unworthy to be called a game, let alone a Mega Man game.
For Christmas, we're getting you the mighty number 9. It's kind of like Mega Man for DOS, right? All right, so thank you everyone for sharing your Christmas stories with us. Thank you for telling the tales of your Christmas memories with us on Twitter.
Thank you, Zero Cool, for joining us here live in person.
With your crazy Christmas story.
With your wacky Atari Link story.
So we have our own crazy Christmas stories. Do you want to share?
It's time to share. One of my best Christmas stories is the year that Chrono Trigger came out for Super Nintendo. I had my eyes on this game, waiting, salivating, ripping my hair out just in pure anticipation, ready for this game to come out. And when it did, I still had to rent it to prove that it was worth getting for Christmas. Because at that time, even, because money was tight, it was hard to convince parents that a game would actually keep your interest long enough to be worthy of paying $60 or more for these games. So after renting it and getting the stamp of approval, I got it for Christmas. But in those days, Grandma definitely didn't know what to get for the kids. So, of course, Mom would maybe buy things and Grandma would say, yeah, it's from me. She put up the money for the most part.
Yeah,
it is from her.
That's what my grandma would do too.
They just have no idea what to get you. So my mom gets the game, and we go over to my grandma's, and I'm left secluded, and I can tell which package is a Super Nintendo game. Plus, it's not like I'm getting more than one Super Nintendo game, so I know this is the one. No one's paying attention. I slip off into another room. I very carefully open the package. I take the box out. It is indeed Chrono Trigger. I very carefully open Chrono Trigger and slide out the cartridge. Remember those goofy cardboard box they kept the cartridge in? Yeah, I just slid that out, popped the game out, put everything back, closed the package back up, put it back under the tree, hid the cartridge in my jacket. Later that night, boom, I was playing. And even if I had been caught with it on the TV, my mother didn't really know what game was what Chrono Trigger is. She wouldn't really have known that I was playing that game. But I didn't get caught, and once Christmas came, I carried the cartridge back with me over there. I slipped off when nobody was looking after snatching the box from under the tree, put it back, came back in, casually put it back under the tree, and opened it and pretended to be surprised while having like a 1 week start on it.
Nice. You were crafty. I mean,
That
wow.
took a lot. That took a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, to be able to sneak off with the package twice like that? I mean, usually, like, parents and grandparents, even your brothers and sisters will be, like, watching you like a hawk around those boxes. But
Well, the first bit was easy because it was just us three there, and they would usually go sit and talk in the kitchen, and I was just left alone in the living room.
see, left alone to your own devices, you are up to no good.
And then when it came to Christmas, it was just so overwhelming. And at that time, I think my first two nieces had been born, so we had little babies running around, little toddlers, or at least one of them. So the eyes were not on me. So I was able to slip under the Christmas radar.
You know, it would have been funny if, like, somehow your parents or your grandma found out you did that and they put coal in the box. So when you went to go open it again and act surprised, there'd be actually coal in there.
I had been caught peeking before, and my sister made once they found that out, they made a mock present that shamed me for doing it.
Christmas shame. Christmas shame.
Yeah. It was funny.
Any other tales?
I mean, not to me at that time. It was funny.
Any other tales you would like to share?
That's one of the best video game Christmas gifts. Chrono Trigger is still to this day one of my favorite games, a game I hold on a high pedestal as a near perfect experience that should be studied for years to come. The other big one would just be, I'm pretty sure we got a Sega Genesis on a Christmas, which was a gift to like both my brother and I. And I don't know if it was the same year, but somewhere around that time, we got the Ninja Turtle sewer playset, which was awesome. I still have that thing around. Otherwise, we just didn't get very many video game gifts, or, you know, they came on birthdays, and I'm not really counting that, so.
Yeah, I think my best Christmas gaming gift came when I was young, and I remember this Christmas, I woke up and I saw the presents in the living room, and for some reason, I don't know why, it was just stuck in my little kid head that these presents were not for me. They're for my cousin. And I just didn't want to open them for a while. My parents had to convince me, these are your presents.
Were you able to read? I mean, how young were you?
Well, I just saw a bunch of boxes, and I'm like, nope, these aren't mine. So anyways.
Little kids and the way they just make up their minds.
I don't know why it was stuck in my head. But anyways, that year I ended up getting a Super Nintendo. And I just had the pack-in game, which was Super Mario All-Stars.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, amazing pack-in game.
Yes.
And I also got a small CRT TV. I mean, it was small.
You got a complete gaming rig.
And pretty much. I swear that TV couldn't have been more than like 10 inches. Like, it was a tiny little crappy
It's
TV.
just enough for your little head.
Yeah, right? And the Super Nintendo to this day is my favorite console, so that's gotta be my favorite gaming-related gift. But of course I had a bad one.
Oh.
So this was after the Nintendo DS was out. And of course, there were the famous Nintendo games, like Nintendogs.
Nintendogs.
Now, I had a DS, and my ma, bless her soul, sometimes just would get me a gift for Christmas or birthday or something, and she would just buy something that she thought looked fun, which usually meant, no, ma, you bought the wrong thing. So she gets
I like
me.
RPGs.
So she gets me. She doesn't get me Nintendogs. I would have been happy with Nintendogs, okay? But she gets me like one of those pets games, like PET with a Z, because they're cool.
Snazzy.
I think it was cats, like would they spell cats with a Z to make it more appealing and fun to the youngsters?
Don't do that.
Oh, so she buys cats for me. I'm like, Mom, really? Cats? Like, this is a game for children. What? Do you really think this is what I want, Ma? And this was one of the few times I remember just asking, can I take this back? Like, Mom, I'm never going to play this. Bad move. There are a million other fun DS games I'd rather have than
Right.
Cats with a Z.
And this isn't being a brat here. I mean, come on.
No,
It's like
come on.
you were a young adult, and this is a game, like you said, literally for like right above toddlers.
Now, I worked at GameStop, and if a parent came in and asked me for a game for the DS for their kids, I would always point them to like Lego games or Mario games.
Right.
I knew fun kid games. I would never ever recommend pets to a parent. Even if they said my child likes dogs and cats, we'll play Nintendogs. That's at least somewhat quality, right?
This is like Teletubbies
Okay.
level.
So now get this. I go with my mom back to the game store to return it. It's still plastic wrapped, mind you. We have the receipt. We take it in, and the clerk doesn't want to accept it at first.
I need your manager.
Why? Because, once again, pets, cats, whatever this game was, it's made by a company that, I guess wanted to skimp on the packaging. So instead of using, that nice shrink-wrapped plastic that DS games and, most video games come in, they used, a cheaper plastic that wasn't shrink-wrapped nicely. There was a big seam in it, and it was weird. It wasn't tight and around the package. It was just kind of lazily done, whatever this company did. And the guy thought, I guess maybe he was getting fraud in the store, and he was leery about it. People would open up game cases, take the games out,
Sure.
close the cases, reseal them in plastic,
I
and
did
then
a few of those.
ooh, man, we got thieves in Kmart. We got scammers here. Wow, Cole for Christmas.
Just
All
a
of
couple
you.
times. Just a couple times.
Cole.
They didn't
Lump of
catch
coal.
me those years.
It's gonna come. The coal karma cold is gonna get you. The karma coal. Kringle's Christmas is gonna get you.
The Karma Chameleon.
Karma, chameleon. Anyways, you come and cold. So yeah, he didn't want to accept the game at first until I was like, come on, do you really think I did that here? I'm returning a game that clearly I do not want, and Ma here is right with me, and she was the one who bought it.
I'd take him to the shelf, show him how the other copies look like that.
So eventually he does, go ahead with the trade-in, and I really don't remember what I got that year instead with the trade-in money, but yeah.
It was better than Pets.
It was better than Pets, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I bet that guy in the Nintendo Switch video would rather have had a Nintendog. Then he wouldn't have had to quit playing his game.
That's out of there.
You're out of there.
Oh, man. Oh, there goes bogeys on our radar.
Well, that sound means we haven't forgotten about the Game & Watch radar.
So first we have Coffee Crisis, another Sega Genesis game being developed. Wow, what's up with these new Sega Genesis games coming out lately? That's pretty cool. Are we in a retro renaissance? Perhaps.
This Kickstarter game is already funded. It's ready to rock and roll. They had estimated they would have the game out this month. You can purchase the digital copy for $15. This game is coming to us from Mega Cat Studios. which is a bunch of up-and-coming indie developers who happen to work at a coffee house that also likes to host metal bands. So this game has that blend of coffee and metal and retro.
All the things we love. Yeah. So this is being made in association with Black Forge Coffee House. And this is a real coffee house in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And they are called Mega Cat Studios because there really is a real cat in the studios.
Mm-hmm. The cat is the person who does all the development.
You could find pictures and videos of the prototype, people playing the game, and the cat, as well as the coffee house on their Kickstarter page, where you will also find the purchase rewards.
So for $55 or higher,
You get items like
the complete box set with the game. So this is the Sega Genesis cartridge. Yes, they're making cartridges for this.
really slick red-looking cartridge.
And it comes with those cool Sega Genesis boxes that games came in, with a full color printed manual.
Classic. Don't you miss game manuals? They've even made their own 6 Demon Blend coffee mix to celebrate the release of the game.
And for people who've pledged $150 or more, you get a vinyl of the soundtrack of the game produced by Grey Walker. So that's really awesome. Once again, gaming vinyl coming back.
Along with the games being made for the old systems themselves.
Yeah, so Coffee Crisis is a game about aliens that invade planet Earth.
The Smurglians.
Yes, that's what they're called. And they start stealing all the things that we love the most, including video games, coffee, and heavy metal music. So it's up to the baristas named Nick and Ashley to go on a side-scroller beat-em-up adventure and get all the things back.
Nick is swinging a mighty bag of coffee beans, and Ashley, I think, is bashing people with her big old coffee maker pot. Coffee percolator.
And she's gonna percolate some demons and aliens. Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty fun co-op adventure.
Straightforward and creative, as they have recreated the entire coffee house in the game.
Yeah, and you could play this game with a friend sitting next to you. Wow, would you believe that in the year 2016, people are making video games where you have to play online and own a complete different console and a complete different game?
That's a neat idea.
Nope, not these guys. They said, couch co-op is important, old games and old hardware is important. So we're going to make games that you can play with your friends on this old hardware. On their Kickstarter, it seems that some of their gifts start shipping out later in December, so we could only hope that this game is finished by the end of 2016. So stay tuned and check out their Kickstarter to see what kind of updates they have.
Coffee Crisis. Our next game on the radar is not a Kickstarter-funded game, but it looks like a very fun game to kickstart your old Smash TV memories. Next Machina.
This is a game being developed for the PlayStation 4. As far as we know, it is an exclusive at this point. Next Machina is a top-down, third-person shooter. It's being described as a twin-stick shooter, where you use the left stick to move and the right stick to aim, where you're gonna fire millions of bullets. So the backstory to this sounds pretty interesting. It's a world where, the technological singularity has taken place, where AI has ruled over the world, that people have kind of lost their faith in humanity, and they've accepted these robot AI overlords. But it's now up to the hero of Nex Machina to wake people up and to get them to realize the world they live in is being ruled by machines, and he's there to stop these robots.
This game will be playing like Resogun, which came out on the PS4, and the good old classic Smash TV, even taking inspirations from Robotron, which were all awesome games that had you constantly on your feet, moving, running, and gunning. And in this game, Nex Machina, they have a cool-looking dash feature that makes you momentarily invulnerable while you dash into your enemies and allows you to be a bit more aggressive, spread them out, break up their groups.
This game is all kind of like old school Robotron, where there's just a bunch of enemies on the screen and you have to navigate through an environment and avoid all these shots and clear waves and crowds of these robots and enemies.
While picking up weapon power-ups and bombs and all the good old stuff that allows you to wipe out whole groups of enemies and mini-bosses and just old school shoot 'em up, panic fire fun.
So it's being published and developed by Housemarque Games from Finland. And like you said, they've done Resogun, and they've also done games such as Alienation and Matterfall, which I hear are pretty good, and I mean to check out.
Yes, Resogun was a really standout looking game to me because it's like a side-scrolling shooter, but the background is like how do you say it? It's like cylindrical scrolling. So it's more like you're going around an environment. And it was really, really unique and different in that way.
Right, and this studio is collaborating with Eugene Jarvis. And he's responsible for creating Robotron, Smash TV, and Defender. Yeah, this guy goes way back. So he really knows what a fun arcade experience is. And he's helping to translate that for this new PS4 game.
Although we are not PS4 owners just yet, we do think you might be interested in this game as it resembles these awesome classics and the good old feeling of just expertly dodging little bullet blips and taking out as waves and hordes of enemies.
Yeah, so there's no official release date on this yet, but we could expect a release in 2017, possibly in the spring or summer.
Next Machina, Death Machine.
So we got a question from one of our followers on Twitter, and before we go and answer it, I just want to say I think this is a really awesome opportunity for us to open like a Q&A segment.
Now that we have your attention, maybe you have some questions, maybe we have some answers.
Right, so I mean, always feel free to tweet at us at BitWarVets, or you could tweet me directly at MeowTitching. But we have so we had our first question by Twitter user La Cacalo, and he wanted to know, what do we prefer? Do we like our pixels to be displayed sharp and crisp, or do we like kind of the look of like blurry pixels and CRT fuzzy pixels? When we play old games again, usually new TVs kind of display things in an extremely sharp and crisp way. And I think older CRT, tube TVs kind of put a little bit of a fuzz on everything. So, Mr. Max Inventory, what do you prefer?
It's difficult. When you're talking about hooking an old machine to a new TV, if you can make it happen, it does fudge it up in some ways. Or when I've used like GameCube emulator or something like that on my PC, sometimes the games do look a bit ugly. So if I could, I would love to play all my retro systems on the old school televisions they were built for.
And for me, I thought about it, and I think I have to go with, I kind of like a little bit of a blur or a fuzz on the sprite work.
I just wish I had examples of what kind of contrast we're talking about.
For some reason, the game Castlevania sticks out in my head. I think a lot of the older TVs kind of made the pixel art a little bit fuzzy and had this like a painterly quality to it.
Well, that is all the time that we have for this year. We will come back next year in January. We have to shift our format just a little bit because really every 2 weeks is just a little too tight. So we're going to work on having the episodes out every 3 to 4 weeks, and hopefully that can allow us to make more YouTube content for you all. So I hope you have a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, a happy winter season, whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate, and happy Festivus for the rest of us. You can stay in touch with us on Twitter at BitWarVets, You can find us on YouTube, and once we have 100 subscribers, we can have that Bit War Veterans URL link that is so important. And if all turns out well, we will see you next year. Don't forget about us, because we are the Bit War Veterans.